Welcome to the It's All Fine and Dangy podcast, where hosts Dan and Angie talk with creatives, small business owners, charities, and all kinds of interesting people. It's all real talk. It's all fine and dangy.
I just feel like I gotta be like right there. It's fine. As long as you can hear me. I mean, I want people to see my face. Chew my food up and spit it in my mouth.
Baby bird me, please.
Your eggnog for you? Oh, man. Nowhere? Leave you for dead?
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the episode 121. I know we're not saying that anymore, but I like to kind of throw it out there.
Sure. Why not? Why not?
Let
Since
people know.
most podcasts don't last for that many. Thank you very much.
That's true. We did some research about that.
Oh,
What
wow.
is
that?
what is the average life of a podcast?
Actually, most podcasts that start record one episode and then they quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you guys know, you have your own podcast.
Oh,
It takes
yeah.
a lot of work. It
Episode-
takes time. It takes
Episode
work.
1 was like 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We go back and listen to our episode 1 now, and I'm cringing.
man.
It's so bad. There's a lot of dead air in there.
and I do not listen to the podcast
Yeah.
after
Oh,
we're
you
done.
don't?
I'm
It's-
like, no,
it's
I
rare.
really don't.
Yeah.
I
Is it-
just live in the moment.
it's rare
and
for you to
move
listen?
on.
Yeah. I used to, like, the first few I would listen to, and then, like, now it's got to be some. Actually, I'll listen to this one
Yeah.
with you guys.
Sure.
Until
like-
you hear me laugh a couple times, and
no.
you're like, I'm done.
The couple we've done with Patricio, like, on his show, I've listened to those.
Yeah.
Like, but, like, mine, I can't listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've gotten better. I've
I feel
accepted.
like I'm too critiquey of myself.
Yeah.
When I
Me
go back
too.
and listen, I'm like, oh my gosh,
I'm-
why do I even do this? Like,
I-
seriously, I'm laughing at air.
I
Like,
have-
that guy
I-
breathed and I laughed.
I have fully
Me too.
embraced my Ray
It's
Romano
fine.
voice. I'm okay
Oh
with it.
no, man! You got a good. Yeah, I heard you and Patricio going back and
you.
forth on that the other day. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
telling you. I told Patricio, I said, I just need to have you record your voice so
Yeah.
that I can turn it on at night and just like meditate to
oh
it.
man,
He's got a
his-
smooth, low voice.
I was just
it's
staring
crazy.
at him and I'm like, what was I going to say? I can't even talk.
So he did a bunch of
it's
he did a
just
bunch of intros for us
the
at the
nicest
end.
voice.
oh yeah,
You know.
oh
Yeah.
he's a-
So guys, we were sitting here with Carlos Tavarez
Mm-hmm.
and Trish Rhea. Ray? Trish Ray?
Because she has not changed her name yet.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. It's a lot of
Listen,
paperwork.
I'm
And it's a
telling
pain in
you.
the ass.
It's a real pain.
love of my life.
So you guys just recently got married.
Yeah,
Or last year.
Last year, yeah.
So you're still newlyweds.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'd like to give that newlywed, even though you've been together for a long time.
Oh,
right?
man.
Whatever, you still be in the newlywed phase.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I just sent in all my paperwork finally, and he keeps calling me by my maiden name. He won't call me like.
I'm just calling her by her
He
name.
won't call me
man.
Angela Fox. He's like, you
You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it.
So, but I got a phone call today that the paperwork that I sent in, it got sent to the wrong address.
Of course
Oh
it did.
Jesus!
Because that's the address they give you to
Yep.
send it
Yeah.
to, because you have to
goodness.
dig. And she's like, oh, all you need, they wrote a note, but they didn't tell me the date you were married. And I'm like, that seems like an important
Yeah,
information that you would
You wanna
send
know.
to the main office.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Good luck with that.
We'll see how it goes.
Oh, my
If
God.
my name gets changed anytime
Oh,
soon.
good. It sounds like a pain. I'm glad I
hey,
didn't have to do it.
I'm glad I'm a dude.
yeah, no kidding.
But I met like 2 dudes that taking their wives' names.
really?
Yeah.
I've never
That's
heard
really
of that.
cool, though.
Yeah, that's not.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think as long as it was like their real maiden name and not like an ex-husband's name or something. Because,
Man.
sometimes you get a name that you really like and you're like, I don't want to get rid of this.
Yeah, I'm on no. Nah, it ain't that cool of a name.
You're like, I'm not taking it.
I'm not traditional about too many things, but I don't know about that
Yeah.
one. That doesn't work for me.
I'm sure my dad would crawl out of his grave.
I know. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Me too.
That old man would be just like, "What you do?"
Oh my God.
I am happy to get rid of my
You know,
both
it's,
names
it's
because
fun.
I kept my maiden name as my middle name because my children have different fathers.
Yeah.
So my first son had my maiden name and then my second son my married name. So I kept it so that one of them didn't feel left out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes
Guess
sense.
what? Now they feel left out because I got either one of them.
Yeah.
Gone.
I have like a rare last name. So Tavarez like with an S, but Tavarez with a C is rare.
Yeah.
And like my son, he's in the army now. Mm-hmm. So he got to infantry school and he calls me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm looking at this. The guy still isn't there. My bunkmate got the same last name as me." because it's in alphabetical order.
Spelled the same way and everything?
Spelled the same way. I said, man, ask him where he's from. And he's, he goes, he's from Jersey. And I go, and I'll show you a picture. I'll bring it up. I said, that's your cousin. So
what a trip. That's awesome.
Because my grandfather had two families. So my grandfather's a baseball scout. So he had a family in Dominican Republic and a family in
Wow.
And then eventually he moved the Dominican Republic family to Jersey, and they had them both.
Yeah.
So like both grandmas knew
story.
each other. Yeah, he's an interesting man. And yes, I go, man, that's your cousin. And like when I took a picture of them, and they look just the same. I'm trying to find
That is
great.
Well, yeah, because like you said, it's such a unique spelling that there's not many.
Yeah, ain't
people
no
that
way.
have that.
Yeah. And if
I was thinking maybe there was like little whoopsie. And
oh no.
That's what I was thinking. He had a little brother out there or something.
Oh no. When you look at these two guys, it's such a crazy thing. Oh man, I hate being old now where my eyes don't work the same.
I'm with
you need the
can relate.
readers now?
So Carlos, while you're looking that up, I just want to tell our listeners that you guys are with a company called the Rescue Company One. And I was reading your website a little bit earlier today. What an amazing thing you guys have going here. You guys,
Okay, I read the website too.
Yeah.
And here's what I saw.
I know.
A lot of acronyms.
I knew you were going to do it. She does it to
so
me with
many.
IT.
I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know where to begin. Like, there's so many titles and acronyms, and I'm like, okay, so we're going to talk about what some of that means.
Sure.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah, there is. But essentially, you guys do training for search and rescue from helicopters and from boats. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, that company started off as it's basically a finishing school for anybody that's like an advanced care provider, like a doctor, nurse, respiratory therapist, paramedics, anybody that wants to work in like critical care, transport, medicine. So they have their regular, training. Then they come to us to get like their critical care training, their emergency training, and their flight medicine and all, search and rescue. So I fly I'm a flight nurse now, paramedic, and when I originally went to go do that job, I had to go to like 20 different places to get all the different
certification.
Oh, I
imagine. So basically, I used to teach all the different stuff, and then I just kind of brought it all under one umbrella. About 3-4 years ago, actually. Now.
Well, I bet people that are looking to get that training are very appreciative of that.
Yeah,
because now they don't have
Absolutely.
to do what
Go to
you
20
did.
different places.
Yeah, so you just basically go one place, and the medicine part of it and the transport and the aviation stuff is really like our bread and butter. It's what we started off doing.
Yeah.
About a year ago, we started going into the search and rescue stuff. We found that, and a lot of people don't know this, like, the East Coast of the United States is a maritime search and rescue is not a primary function of the military on this side. There's no Coast Guard person coming to get you because
is it mostly civilians?
Well, there isn't anybody, right? The Coast Guard, so like the Coast Guard, like their primary,
that's it. That's it.
Their job
Good
is
luck.
law enforcement.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if they are not available, then you're relying on the boat captain that's nearby, somebody coming out to help out till they're available. So we saw that aviation asset and that stuff, there was an opening there, and after researching and finding some deaths, that happened, we realized that, hey man, maybe we can try this. And around that time the COVID hit, and
so this is just getting started.
we're in the
Wow.
infancy of this. So like the COVID hit, and like I go, man, so I start calling people, and now you can get people on the phone because they're sitting at home bored.
Yeah.
So,
You want to talk to me? I'll talk to you.
so
It worked in your favor a little bit.
yeah,
A
so
lot.
and then basically, my life savings is involved in like trying to do this search and rescue for disasters, for anybody stranded out at sea, and like we're figuring it out that like 1% of the civilian world does this. The rest of it is people relying on a military asset.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the news, like right now, our military assets are going to be busy somewhere else.
Sure.
Yeah.
My hope was that we would be able to do some of the SpaceX stuff, which we are doing some of that right now, and like because it's all civilian, so the military doesn't cover that anymore. So
Wow. And now, is it because, like, Do we have a Coast Guard in Florida?
Oh yeah, we do.
But
yeah.
they just that's
Tampa,
like nope.
or
That's
St. Pete.
in Tampa area.
Tampa, St. Pete,
That's
Pete,
right. Because I used to
Jacksonville,
work
yeah.
in Tampa, and then the naval base was down. Yeah, don't take the wrong way.
Yeah,
Restricted.
yeah.
You can't go there.
Yeah.
Well, those guys they're pretty busy doing,
Yeah.
keeping drugs as much as they can out of here. I mean, they're there's more New York City police officers than there are Coast Guardmen.
Wow. So this is something that we need to encourage, young kids coming out of school that maybe to look into this career.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
funniest thing. Like people were like, where are we going? When we first put the class out, they're like, where are we going to work when we get done with this class? And I'm like, I don't know.
I can't tell you that.
But now we got jobs doing it.
Well, you say you don't know. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, you guys are essentially training future nurses, future paramedics, future. There's even some stuff on your website about people doing like trauma training for in the battlefield.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely. So we do. We just got we can't mention the people till like it's like official, but we just got a simulation contract with a military company.
Yeah.
They provide the simulators. So we're gonna be doing that for like police officers and stuff here, and
But also
everything.
for lay people.
and also for lay people.
For like trauma simulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bleeding control, just life-saving surgery. Like, so even down to the surgeons now, we can actually train them to do that damage control surgery, like that internal bleeding, stop that bleeding. And then,
wow.
So is it most of the time, is it people that are already nurses and doctors,
Yeah,
somebody in a
absolutely.
medical field that are coming to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay.
Most of the time, but we want to reach out to the community and do work with the first care stuff.
Okay, so teaching people what to do if you
Yeah.
come onto a traumatic situation.
Well, because all of the shootings have increased so much, we want to be able to train people how to stop the bleed when
Like
it
general
happens.
public.
yeah, because you're the first one there. You're the first one there. So you're the first one that's going to put that tourniquet or direct pressure and this stuff. One of the like our stories from like the Pulse is that like one of the girls that we get basically is telling us that if it wasn't for this girl who's actually in residency now.
Oh,
So
cool.
she was graduating medical school.
Yeah.
So she is in a residency now. If it wasn't for her stopping her bleeding, she would have died in there.
You would have bled out.
So
Wow.
our mutual friend Patricio had mentioned something about Pulse. And you guys were involved in the part of the recovery from that, or the?
So me and my partner Josh Granada, we were the first two paramedics at the Pulse nightclub
Okay.
shooting.
Wow.
So we got there as he's still doing his thing.
Oh, my
The
gosh.
shooter was still
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was still doing his thing, and we saw the Orlando Police Department guys the initial guys that those are the real heroes of that day. Those are the guys that made that dude. They made him stop shooting. They put him in that bathroom and made him barricade himself, but he was reshooting people as we were watching. Because that's what me and Josh saw with our own eyes. It's like with that guy, and those guys were heroes that day. But we, the city of Orlando Fire Department itself transported 16 patients to Orlando Regional.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my partner did 13 of those 16.
Wow.
So
So you were heavily involved that day.
So I was going to ask you I was going to ask you both how you got into this, but you are a paramedic. That's how you've gotten into this.
yeah, I'm a paramedic nurse. Yeah, a paramedic nurse firefighter. City of Orlando, 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Now, do you have a military background as well?
No.
I was just wondering because your son is in the
Oh,
military.
yeah.
A lot of times it's tradition.
Right.
I tell people how that dude told me he was going in the army, and he had smoked some pot, and he called me to see to see if he could pass a drug test. So this. So my son is a good man. I'm gonna tell you, like I lucked out with kids, and like that dude is unbelievable. He's a hard worker. Mm-hmm. And he moved to Buffalo, New York. He wanted to get a city job where his uncles on his mom's side work.
Yeah.
And he was going to be like a streets and drainage guy. Well, COVID hit. He couldn't get his physical.
Oh, God.
So he was working two jobs. Like he worked Texas Roadhouse, and then he was working at Amazon at the warehouse. So never asked me for money, never did anything. But he called me one day, and he goes, hey, Dad. Every time he says my name, he says Dad 3 times. It's funny as shit. He goes, Dad. hey, Dad.
It's like you're already listening.
So I put him on speakerphone, and he goes, hey, listen, well, Dad, listen, I'm gonna tell you something, but I'm not gonna lie to you. So, Dad, hey man, I'm taking a drug test. I smoked some pot on Sunday, and it's Tuesday when he calls me, and he goes, you think I'll be okay? I go,
No.
no. But what are you doing a drug test for? Dad, I'm gonna tell you, but I don't want you to talk me out of it. I go, you're a man. I'm not gonna talk you out of shit. Yeah. What are you doing? He goes, I'll join the Army. And I go, oh, that's good. Are you on the bus going to MEPS? He goes, you know what MEPS is, Dad? I said, dude. So I was in the Army for technically I still am. Like they make me go get my blood pressure check every year. They pay for my nursing school. Yeah. Okay. But then I had high blood pressure and I couldn't go anymore.
Yeah. So you didn't pass the physical.
Yeah. So
honorable discharge kind of thing.
Yeah, they make me go to I faked my blood pressure the first few physicals and then they caught me by surprise one day.
Yeah.
So
you mean you faked it so you could stay in?
So I could stay in, yeah. So because they pay for nursing school till I'm 56, I go get my blood pressure checked every year.
Yeah.
So this dude, he goes, Dad, you know what MEPS is? He goes, yeah, dude, I know what it is. I go, get off the bus. He goes, Dad, I'm telling you, I'm going to do this. You ain't talking me out of it. I said, Carlos, you're going to pop hot and you'll get the recruiter in trouble. Go tell him you smoke pot and tell him to give you a drug test in the office because they're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes in and he pop hot and he's like, man. So he went back and he studied and then passed this test.
Nice.
Hilarious.
But great kid, man. I ain't seen it.
I just love the conversation.
Oh,
it sounds like
me too.
the conversation if somebody,
very
going through that.
We're honest, man.
Yeah.
He's honest with me, and I told him never to, I'm not going to, as long as he ain't hurting another human being or stealing or doing anything, you can always tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
So a good kid, but anyways, that dude, man, he cracks me up.
That's the best.
But that's the closest I've been to the military.
Yeah. That reminds me of Angie's kids will text her, Mom. That's the whole first text.
Yeah.
I'm like,
uh-oh. I'm just sitting here waiting for you to text me that or something.
Yeah. Like it's a phone
I
call.
didn't have enough of that shit when you were at home. Really? You think I'm waiting for it? No, I'm really not. I have a life. I'm sorry if you don't think I do.
Yeah, I'm doing shit.
Yeah.
He's like midnight one time. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm sleeping.
Yeah. We got to get up early.
Yeah.
At our age, we got to go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to put ourselves to sleep.
But I ended up being
sooner.
I was lucky.
Yes.
In the sense, my mom, she had some problems as me and my little brother got a little bit older, and so we went in and out of foster homes. And I was lucky enough to get a few foster homes that, number one, I got to go to really good. I went to Lake Highland Prep here in Orlando.
Oh, cool.
Being a kid that grows up in Pine Hills, you don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I was really fast and mean, so I played football. So, and then I ended up at a foster home where the City of Orlando firefighters. My dad passed away when I was 9. He was a New York City fireman. So, I thought it'd be great, and that grew on me. And I was lucky enough, when I was 18 years old, I got hired at the City of Orlando Fire Department.
Oh, wow.
So
now, did you get hired on as a firefighter, or were you?
No, firefighter, paramedic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had, I was old enough to give morphine and couldn't buy alcohol. So
what is this world?
But
seriously?
that sort of ties into
I was a
one of
nurse
my-
like that.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
You were
I was
young.
old enough to be a nurse, but not old enough to buy alcohol.
What in the heck?
So for both of you, I guess.
So
then it's
jacked. It's so jacked.
being around trauma for that long, because I guess when I'm kind of reading through all the services that you guys offer, and it's a huge list of different sort of training that
Lots
you
of
do.
acronyms.
yeah.
All of you, if you're in the medical field, you know what they mean.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it going,
I don't know any of that.
I think there's a letter missing
in
somewhere
the,
here. Z?
Probably.
In the IT world, it's all it's borrowed from military too, so it's all acronyms. But I was thinking, for all the training that you do, is there a level of sort of training people how not to, because a normal reaction for a lot of people to trauma is going to be to freak out or to panic or to get sick or whatever. Is that part of the process, or is it just that you're focusing on the job that you have to do so much that that part of it kind of
Blur it out,
disconnects.
kind of, yeah.
So I think one of the things that we do that's pretty unique is that we we simulate a lot of things, but we do it in a high fidelity type format. And a lot of places go, hey, we do high fidelity simulation, but we do a lot of stress inoculation. We fuck with people, for a lack of a better term.
We do.
Well, you have to, right?
To create the most emotional thing you can have and not react to it, and still do the job.
Yeah,
because that's part of it.
Of course.
Yeah, you got to perform. You got to be. I love David Goggins. I don't know if you know who that is. This dude's unbelievable. He's this unbelievable human being. But he was like a fat old guy that decided he was going to lose weight and become a Navy SEAL, and he did.
Wow.
So, but he says being around uncommon people, and that's kind of like what our stuff is that there's a time where you just have to do the most extreme decision making, problem solving, where everybody else can't do it.
Yeah. And and usually there's that one person that can do it, and you're kind of honing in on those people, and you can probably spot the people too, right? Can you tell?
Is it a train? I would think it's, for some people, it's probably inert, because
it's
been going on since the Wild West. You hear of the famous, Wyatt Earp or whatever, who would keep his shit together during a firefight while everybody else is freaking out. It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it isn't a job for everybody.
Yeah,
and I always tell
that
people,
is a true story.
Yeah,
people think they like the idea of doing it. For example, like the rescue stuff that we do, we've had 60 people make an attempt at it. There's 7 people that have made it through the program.
Wow.
Like we do a day of just, you have to get into class. You got to pass this 18-hour day, which Patricio kind of went through it with these guys.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Like he videotaped it, as a civilian, not knowing. And it's a day of getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
I mean, they ruck over 20 some odd miles. They swim over 2 or 3 miles. It's a day of getting your ass kicked, but like people like the feeling of, wearing a flight suit, being in a helicopter and do that, but they don't know what the work that you have to put into it.
Yeah, the seriousness of all of it.
And the stuff you got to miss and all the fucking sacrifices you got to do when you get into it.
They want the hero part where they save somebody, but you're constantly preparing for that moment, because you don't want that moment to come.
Yeah.
But when it does, you have been preparing for that
the
whole time.
And me and Trish argue about the whole hero and heroic thing all the time.
We argue about that?
Yeah, we have strong conversations about it.
Spirited debate.
I spent 20 years, and I still work as a nurse, paramedic on a helicopter here in Orlando for Orlando Health. And like I've spent, my whole adult life going to fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And doing things that somebody else wouldn't do. But I got paid good money to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it for free, I just happened to do the job that I love doing, and I get to go do it,
Sure.
every day. So like, to me, I don't need a medal for that. Like Trish went with me my last day. Like they made me go to city council when I retired from the city of Orlando. Like I left, and then this dude chased me down with all these like medals that I never went to go get.
Yeah.
And like,
but I think a lot of people in positions like yours are like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where it's almost an embarrassment when they get this award.
The award.
They're like, why are you taking my picture? Like, why?
Yeah.
They're looking at people like, like, I do this because I love it. It's just like you said.
Yeah, there's people that need it. There's people who rely on that. Josh, my partner, like I talk about him every show that I do, like, because everybody used to think we were a couple, but we're both straight, and we just spent a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
But that dude, he grew up in Pine Hills as well. Bad childhood, man. Like, dad was a horrible human being, and as he's a guy that always tried to please that man. Like, imagine a whole life where he's the first college graduate, first person to graduate high school at his house, college graduate,
trying to get approval.
Yeah. Trying to
for somebody doesn't even deserve.
Trying to please this man his whole life, and like you do this one great thing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't realize is that mine and Josh's story gets out to CNN, and when the city chief realized that at that time that our story's getting out, he's going to have to explain his side of his shitty response to it, because our fire chief didn't do a good job. for it. So like
for the pulse.
Yeah. So he's got to figure out like how to not have to tell that story. So to squash mine and Josh's story.
Yeah.
But already gotten out enough.
Oh gosh.
And so that's why a lot of people do. Some people do know what happened with me and Josh, and a lot of people don't know what happened with me and Josh. And you know. So long story short, like, you know, Josh is one of those guys that his whole life he needed that piece of recognition. This being recognized for this great thing. Yeah. He needed that. Imagine doing this great thing and not being able to do that. Drove him nuts. Like he is mentally handicapped. Like you can't leave his house. He doesn't work anymore as a firefighter. Paramedic. He got in trouble. He just can't leave his house. He just say it's a mental cripple. The PTSD thing that people talk about, like legitimately.
It's real, of course.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Your mental health, you know, taking care of your mental health, so important, right?
Oh man, she's laughing.
Because the things you're faced with, and it's like we talk about, you know, how when you talk about like a doctor's bedside manner, how they just have to the emotion it has to just kind of leave, but it's still there. So how do you take care of that, and how do you help him take care, and how do you take care of it?
Yeah.
Because what type of nurse are you? Are you a trauma nurse?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, like this is a lot of stuff coming home. How do we help each other with that mental health at home?
I would imagine you do, because you're both in the same. Oh yeah, it probably helps.
Do you
that you're both in.
Do you drink? Like, what do you do?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
A lot of sex.
Yeah, I was going to say you throw each other around. Yeah. Like, what's going on?
Also, yes.
You know, Trish does this thing called Craniosacral Therapy, which I don't even say that right.
That's okay. Craniosacral Therapy.
And like it is like this, you know, I call it voodoo.
Sounds like a head massage.
Yeah. Pretty close
kind
to
of.
it.
Okay. It can be.
Okay.
And like, tell her about that stuff, because
it's energy work. So like,
gotcha.
Have you heard of Reiki?
Yes, of course.
So it's hands-on Reiki, and it does help people deal with like PTSD, chronic pain, all sorts of things. And to be honest, I've seen better improvements with craniosacral therapy than I have with like medications at times.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, I went to school for alternative medicine. So, you know, believer when it comes to energy and,
it works,
you know,
man.
You don't even really need we need physical touch, but just feeling the energy of somebody. And some people have a gift for it. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my sister's one of those people. Like she's an esthetician, but there's some way you feel after you leave because she should do that. I mean, it's just something that she has in her, and she can read people, and she does just have an energy about her. Yeah.
So, you know, like
I think I have been told that I do that too.
Yeah.
I didn't ever know. Like, I only got into it a couple of years ago, and I had no idea.
Is it because people were telling you that, or is it something you were exploring more for your field?
So a friend of mine was doing it, and she kind of told me a story about she was treating a baby that was about 9 months old that had some developmental delays. And the mom came in and was kind of looking at her like, I can't believe I actually paid you money for holding my baby. So she went home the next day, like this little girl sat up by herself. Never done that before, ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And mom calls her and tells her about it, and I'm like, I have to learn more about that. Like,
it's intriguing, right?
It was so intriguing, and I signed up on the website for like a core pack of classes, and I keep going back.
Yeah. Well, you can never have enough, right? Enough knowledge, and just.
Well, I mean, we all know. This is my perspective of that kind of thing, but we all know, like, when you can tell there's times in your life where someone comes into the room and you either get a really bad vibe.
Oh yeah.
Or you get a really good vibe, you know, if it's a person that's really giving off strong energy. So I feel like there's something to people that just make you feel more at ease and relaxed and peaceful, if they don't really do anything. It's something about them. And then if they're also touching you or whatever, it's I want to say it's maternal, but it's more than that.
It is more than that, yeah.
You know, like I think it's like the second or third episode that we ever recorded. I tell a story about I made a plan. I was gonna kill myself. You know, like gone through like all the stuff. You know, Pulse had happened. I was going through a divorce at the time when Pulse happened, and I was married to this woman like 15 years.
What was that? Sorry about that.
So I was married to this woman like 15 years. So she's 10 years older than me. I was with her since I was like 19, and you know, just like some people can work your mind, and this woman was, she could still to this day can do that. Like she is and Trish can tell you, she's the one person can put me in a horrible fucking place.
Okay, I was gonna say, when you said work your mind, you mean in a bad way?
Man.
Oh yeah,
she can fucking put me in the worst places ever, man. And like, you know, when you go through that, and then all of a sudden you feel great, you got all these great things happening, you know, but you don't know how to keep yourself from going back to feeling that shit.
Yeah.
So that's when you make the decision, you know, and you know, I made a plan, and you know, this the most strangest angel saved my life, and like that's on the show. You want to listen to that? Listen to it. And you know, since then, I still struggle with it every day. Like just today, I was talking to one of the guys who's going through a hard time, and you know, people call me with their hard time. Like I'm not a great person, like I'm fucked up myself.
You got a lot of shit.
Yeah, you know. So, but
I guess they're thinking you experienced.
Yeah,
it,
so I listened.
I
I listened to them and try to, you know, do my best to, like, you know, send them the right direction and everything. But you know, they still call back.
I'm gonna be charged by the hour.
Yeah, and like as I'm sitting there, I'm telling them, you know, it's just like sometimes you just don't. There is a reason why you stay around, and I think my reason is to share that story, to tell people that like, hey, that ain't the way out. You know, that there's a lot of good that you can give from being at the lowest in your life. And I always live by that. Like, you can't start living till you lose everything.
Yeah.
You know, and being a foster kid, you start over so many times.
Oh, I bet.
And it's like you go, and I took.
You're so resilient. You know, is how I would put it, because of the struggles, like you said, and the starting over and new situations and problem solving, like you're probably did your whole life. Yeah.
You know, there's a restaurant here in Orlando. They got a couple of different places. They were started by a foster kid. And
FK Your Diet.
It's FK. I don't know if you can advertise.
What's it called?
Oh, of course
FK Your Diet.
Oh yeah, it's FK Your Diet is what it's called. So do you think it's
like
fuck your diet? You think it's fuck your diet, but
that's what I would go.
So it's foster kid diet.
That's what I thought when I first saw
it. Oh, it's probably meant to make you think.
Yeah. It totally is.
So,
I love it.
So you go in there and they do a lot of cool different things. But like the dishes are huge, and they're like unrealistic, like huge food that a kid would want. But what you don't realize is your first 2 days at a new foster home is the best you eat, because on the third day is when the people come check on you. Yeah, and you know, they want to hear like what you've been eating, how happy you are and stuff. So, you know, you want pancakes in the shoes, they're gonna make you fucking pancakes in the shoes.
Yeah, you know? they're drumming it up to make it seem like they're the best foster parents ever.
Yeah, and you always get new sneakers on the. So, you know, within the first 2 days, you can get a pair of new sneakers. So that's one of the things that people don't realize, when you don't have shit, like getting a pair of new sneakers and that stuff is like the greatest fucking thing in your life.
Yeah,
and food that you want to eat. But then after that, it goes back to regular shit. So when you go to that restaurant, they do like if you spend like $100, they give
you donate.
Yeah, you donate like $100. You get whatever you want to eat basically, and then they give a pair of Nikes to a foster kid.
Yeah,
we're going
there.
there.
We are going there. It's in town.
Oh my gosh!
We're like.
I think there are a couple of them. I know there's one in Pine Castle, but I'm pretty sure there's another one here in Orlando.
That is amazing.
Oh, we totally have to go there.
Yeah.
I do too.
We love when people give back like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just the success story, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to make it.
Yeah, to make it and, you know, not let, you know, maybe the shit he went through in his life make him take his life. You know what I mean? And now he can have this great impact on so many other children and families, even foster parents, maybe, you know, kind of open their eyes a little bit, and just people like us that are like,
outside of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But to tie back to your whole, just the whole discussion you were having, to me, as Angie points out, there's a lot of good to come out of, you know, what you've been through and now what you do. But, you know, surely we talk about PTSD, but those, you know, you said you were thinking about killing yourself at one point.
Oh, yeah.
To me, and I can't put myself in your space. I've never been through anything like that. You know, I say I had a rough childhood, but it wasn't like that rough. You know, my dad was abusive, and to my to me and my mom and all my siblings.
But like I always like to say, everybody's rough is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
yours
perspective.
was at a very young age, which was like the sponging. Where you're absorbing
developmental
everything.
Ages. Yeah,
and that's when you learned a lot of characteristics maybe that you took into adult life or because of what happened during that traumatic time.
Absolutely.
I tell students, like, when you go to like that person's worst day, like the most routine call could be the most like bullshit thing you go to, right?
Yeah.
But that person's bad day is their bad day.
Exactly.
It ain't your bad day, but that today they needed to reach out for help, and you come in like an asshole. You ain't gonna fix this shit.
Right. Right.
You
have respect for their bad day too.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking we even it's hard for us. Like, even with us, sometimes it's hard, like with our kids when they start complaining about it.
We do the comparison. We all do the compare. But see, I'm
thinking, what?
I did the opposite.
But we have to try not to do that. You know what I mean? But I'm like, you're like, this is like rainbows and butterflies,
it's
dude.
Hard.
Like,
it's
seriously.
Hard for you,
Yeah.
But it's perspective, I guess.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just for clarity, I loved my dad. My dad passed, but you talk about Josh and his approval thing. I wasn't like that, but I feel like my dad was a good guy. He just wasn't good at being a dad.
Also, just for clarity, I do not love my dad.
Yeah. but he just wasn't a good dad.
He's not a good person.
He just wasn't
horrible.
A good dad. He wasn't a bad guy.
And he lives here locally, and we try to avoid him at all costs.
Yeah.
But
don't cut that out neither.
No, I won't. But my dad wasn't a bad guy. He was just, I'm not defending him. He wasn't a very good dad. He wasn't a very good husband sometimes. He was young. He was an alcoholic. He was a mess. And I guess I'm the type where I feel more pity for him than anything.
Yeah.
But when you talk about how you thought about taking your life, my immediate brain goes to the value that you've given all these other people's lives that nobody but you could do because of your experiences, when you were young, but also your experiences working as a paramedic and working in trauma. The world needs people like you more than maybe other types of people, because who else could do that job? Right?
Yeah, and you always think about it too, man. To me, because I go to therapy, so when I talk to the therapist, and he says kind of the similar thing, but
I should get a job.
At some point, I said, man, you're good. At some point, though, you feel like all this weight on you. It's like you're just trying to tread water, holding a heavy dumbbell over your head, and you're just like, man, I can't. How long am I supposed to hold this?
How can I keep this up? Yeah.
I need somebody else to take over for a minute.
And then somebody calls you because they can't figure something out. They go, hey, man, can you help me out with this? And then they call you like, can you help me out with this? And like, hey, what's... And you go, man, shit, who the fuck do I call?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Eventually, you got to realize that you got to set your limits, and you go, hey, man, I'm tapped out, and I need help too. And And then you realize,
and it's okay to communicate that.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely,
what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. You grow up trying to like not be vulnerable to the sense of like it's asking for help.
Yeah.
And that's just the fireman. People don't understand. That's the difference between a firefighter and like they will do the most they can with as little as they can.
Yeah. Which isn't good for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
and you burn out. Like you said, you burn out,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like moms. We could compare that to being a mother.
Yeah.
Like seriously, because we will literally tap us. That's why you see moms doing like crazy things. Like just peace.
That's a personality trait, though. I mean,
like somebody who rented an apartment when her children were older and said, peace. I'm moving into an apartment. Goodbye. Like I told you bitches to clean up your act. Like nobody listened to me. But you do crazy things because you weren't setting limits, basically. Yeah. And you just and it's your own fault because we kind of did it to ourselves,
There's only so much you can take. You know?
Yeah.
And there, I guess, also with your kind of job, there's a sense of, I don't want to say there's a sense of pride, but maybe there is a sense of pride where
absolutely.
You guys are badasses. You can do anything. And so when people are coming to you, they're coming to you because that's how they feel, right? And that may be coupled with your personality if you're like me and maybe, like Angie, where I will give, she gets mad at me because I will give until I'm taking away from myself, until I'm all stressed out, until I'm working 15 hours a day because I promised somebody I would do this other side job thing. And, But that's IT work. For your type of work, I would imagine it's even worse because now it's all very heavy. Everything you're doing is very heavy.
Yeah, I mean it does has its thing, but something like I don't call it work. I've never in my adult life I've never worked a single day.
Yeah, because you love it.
It do exactly what I want what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
and I have a culinary degree. Like I have a culinary degree. I went to nursing school because I wanted to marry a doctor.
How'd that work out for you?
It didn't.
Yeah,
didn't work out.
But
I mean, look, let's not lie. The nurses are the ones that do most of the work.
Oh man, we work our
that's
asses off.
I mean, seriously, when you go to, let's just talk about when you go to the hospital or you're sitting there.
We don't make the money.
I know, but how many times you see the doctor? You're asking for the doctor. The doctor's in another town. Like even when
we don't see him either.
I know.
But we're not really stuff people, and it's not about the money so much for me. I was just I'm not going to say any names, but I was just helping a friend whose partner fell ill just right out of nowhere when he went to sleep on the couch, and they couldn't wake him up, and then she had to call 911, and then on the way to the hospital, he. What do you call it when you get sick into your lungs?
Aspirated.
Yeah, aspirated. Long story short, now he's got brain damage, kidney damage, liver damage. They might have to take him off life support. Ooh. All happened out of nowhere. The guy was totally fine.
Yeah.
But
bam, in a blink of an eye.
Just in the blink of an eye. But I mean, the thing that really stuck with me is when she's telling me this whole story and the doctors come in and say this, that, and the other, the nurses come right back in behind the doctors and say, you have to do what you feel is right and follow medical advice. But he's tracked me with his eyes twice.
Because they're the ones there.
The nurses are the ones that are doing the nurses are doing the real work between the doctors and the nurses. But but I think not to minimize that because that who cares about the money? It's not about that. The money doesn't show the level of effort.
And when people ask me, "Are you a paramedic first or firefighter?" Like I always tell them, I said I had a scholarship. I went to school to be a nurse. Like that's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I say the whole doctor thing and everything, but it's always some job that appealed to me. So be a dude that wants to be a nurse. Like maybe I was weird. I was that guy that was weird that wanted to do that shit. The culinary school thing I went to because of a girl. Like I was,
See, that sounds amazing. When you say culinary school,
just trying to get ass.
Carla's gonna come back.
That's what you're trying to do.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to get
ass. Spend that
ass.
money on school for that.
Yeah. No, actually, I went for free. So
okay.
But
now you know how to cook.
Did she pay for it?
No.
Oh.
But
I'm like, that
so
it's like for a sugar mama or something, right?
But as a nurse, we treat from the patient back. A doctor treats the medicine back to the patient, and our job as nurses, specifically in the emergency room, we tell people that we're like a safety net. So we're there for all the stupid decisions that the doctor's going to make. Yeah. So we make sure it doesn't fucking happen.
But
the doctors can't get their own medicine.
Oh,
they
can now.
Or can they?
Yes.
They can pull it out of the thing?
Yeah, I found that out today.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
When you say get their own medicine, what's that mean?
For the longest time, I guess today.
They're having residents work as nurses.
Oh yeah, that's just all the COVID thing.
It's just because of the COVID thing.
Yeah.
So, because nurses are the ones that have to know all the scripts, prescription, and all the the dosages and all that.
So we have the codes to get the meds out and stuff like that. Yeah. So and it's all because they'll order things sometimes. It just doesn't fit the patient. They'll look at things that they'll go. And the reason that the rescue company ones exist is because I'm a student of the game. Yeah. Like I study this shit out of it. I have no hobbies. I sit on the toilet and read till my legs fall asleep, and watch YouTube videos. And I come up with things that I find things out. Just the other day, somebody was like, "Hey, my feet are swelling," and I take this. I said, "Well, do you take an aspirin with your water pill?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "You can't take those two things together." And the pharmacist looks at me and they go, "That's not right." And then she comes back and goes, "Yeah, look that shit up. That's just the right thing."
I love it. So that's like me in tech stuff.
The research guy right here.
When you say you just, I can't stop doing it about anything interesting to me.
Yeah, it's my game, and I read it and
so you're pretty much a doctor because a doctor's a problem solver. You're just solving the problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I try
to actually
put the puzzle together. It is.
Well, let's bring it back to your company because this is new. How long has this been running now?
So actually 4 years. I think August is going to be.
So it's not really new.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
So I've taught this stuff for about 20 some odd years, and about 4 years.
But you've taught it. Most of that's been free teaching?
No,
for
I've
other
taught
people.
for other people.
Oh, for other people. Okay. Because I was going to say, you probably, like, if somebody was interested, you're just a giving person. I can tell that you're like, oh, yeah, I'll show you how to do that.
You know, the people would pay me pretty good money to go out and do some of these board exam reviews, and I would teach a lot of the water survival stuff. And actually, the water survival stuff is kind of like how we started, because where I work now, we had a company get hired to come in and teach us water survival. And when you teach all the time, I enjoy going to classes.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, so if you're going to pay me to, especially if you're going to pay me.
He's like a forever student.
Well, if you're going to pay me to sit there, I never get to go classes. Like, I always go to classes, but I'm the fucking teacher. So I'm like, God, this sucks.
Yeah.
So now I get to go to a class. Well, this class was horrible.
Yeah.
And being the fact that I've been teaching this shit for so long, I was like, man. So the next day, I came back and I copied a lot of the stuff I had into a thumb drive for these guys, and I helped them clean up. And then I tell them, I was like, hey, listen, I didn't want to write this on the evaluation, but there's a lot of stuff you guys need to change because your class is bad.
Yeah.
These two dudes told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
And I said, well, man, so you just convinced me to start a company.
Yeah.
And then in that day, I started, like 6 months later, I'm teaching them a class at their place. And
That's how it happens.
And true story. And, like, you know what the funniest shit is that this is Josh, the people thought me and Josh were a couple. Like, Josh would hang out with me. Like, if somebody hired me and I was going, like, to, like, Philly to go teach, he would go with me to go teach.
Yeah.
He wasn't teaching shit. He was just hanging out. He was just keeping me company.
Yeah.
Traveling. He was like your bodyguard.
Yeah.
Or something.
So he would keep me company. So all the time he said, man, we need to start our own company. Like, he ain't teaching shit. So
He's gonna be the accountant or something for you.
Yeah. But, you know, this is the thing about that
if
guy.
Wanted to.
Yeah.
That guy has a photographic memory.
Oh, nice.
He's one of the smartest dudes we've met.
And teach a class, and you would believe he's the dude that wrote the book on it.
Wow.
Because he's just that fucking good. And,
I love that.
But he's still having a hard time getting out there in front of people.
Yeah, he can't do it anymore.
Not anymore.
Not like he used to. No, and that was the biggest thing. We started the company, me and him, and he was able for like the first 2 years of it to just, and then you could see he started declining.
You watched it, yeah.
His mind went to different places, and
just from all the years of trauma. And
everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a kid, the pulse, and then he went through a whole lot of stuff with the fire department and the old fire chief, and it's just, man, I'm gonna tell you, like, to watch somebody that is the greatest dude in the world, like, and then just decline it, like, to where he can't leave his house.
It's
like,
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. Like, it's like, I talk to him every day. He's in his house, and he's like, you know, to get him to come out is a act of Christ. Like, I'm trying to get him to come record on Thursday, and
You are?
yeah, and I've been trying to get him to come record every Thursday for the last month.
This has been
and it's just that thing, man. You can't get this dude out of there, man.
Oh man,
the
You
prison.
gotta-
He
gotta-
has
you
this
gotta-
great story that we're trying to get him to tell.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about his wife working at a special needs school.
I can't even start telling you so because I can't tell it.
Like he does.
You got to save it too.
Yeah.
When
it's
he
just
tells it.
I
Yeah.
almost piss my pants every time.
Every
he tells
time.
it.
It's
So
hilarious.
you have to let us know
Yes.
when he gets on. He's going to get on and he's going to tell the story so he can make people laugh.
And we wanna
because
listen
we
in,
want to
yeah.
laugh.
Oh yeah.
So-
But you got to drag him out if you have to, because it's probably actually very good for him.
Well, he wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you talk to him
But
today.
there's like it seizes people up sometimes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You see these, we talk about anxiety. Like, I don't understand anxiety because I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is hard when you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
not, I've never had it. I don't understand it. I'm
Everyone-
like, hey, buck up, get over. Like, that's like my mentality.
Yeah.
And I've got to have empathy, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
But everyone's psyche is different.
But everybody's psyche's different.
in the
yeah.
same way that you, Carlos, can handle some of those, and Trish, the trauma stuff.
Yeah.
Most of us, I don't know how I would react. I like to think that I would jump in there and help. I might drop to the ground and get in the fetal position. I haven't been in that position.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
PTSD comes in all. I've gone to a therapist for years too, but that comes in all different
all shapes, taste,
shapes and sizes.
flavors.
She teases me because I don't know if it's called PTSD for me, but from my violent childhood, I have weird stuff like if you make a really loud noise, I am immediately angry and for 5 seconds I want to fight whatever made that noise or whoever made that noise.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot help it. I don't know why.
You can drop a pan in the. It's not and it's never geared towards the person.
But you know that flight or fight. Like I want to run towards that noise.
It's something you're conditioned to.
It's crazy,
and it sets your stuff off. And and it's the craziest thing. So fire department. I don't sleep. 20 years I've never slept in a bed at the fire department. I sleep in a recliner.
Yeah. And
I didn't own a bed till I started dating my first wife. And reason being is my dad died from a gunshot wound. And he got shot while in bed with me. Like he was trying to get me to go to sleep, and a bullet came through the wall, and that's what killed my dad.
No wonder you don't sleep in the bed.
Yeah, I never slept in the bed since that day. Till now I sleep in the bed with Trish, but the side I got to sleep on is my left side. I can't sleep on my right side.
Wait, Trish wanted to say something.
Trish wanted to say something. Yeah,
I was just going to say that craniosacral therapy could probably help you get through that.
Okay. Well, she calls me Sheldon because I have a lot of these little tics about things. Like I have to face the door in every restaurant in case.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I want to see if people are coming.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that do that.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a preparedness.
Yeah.
That I can understand. But the loud noises like that.
Yeah.
And when you wake up, how you startle so much when
I
you
wake up like jump out no matter what.
Don't matter how calm. I sneak over.
Because sleep is
he does too.
Probably like you, but sleeping to me is not very natural feeling, and it feels very vulnerable when you're sleeping. I wish I could sleep in a cage where I know I'm safe.
Yeah.
We can arrange that.
Not that kind of cage.
No, that kind of cage.
Be the gimp. You seen Pulp Fiction before?
Billion times.
One of his favorites.
The other day we got into this 40-minute GIMP conversation. And I was at work. We're watching Pope. I was like, "You're like, what? What do you think that dude does all day while he's in there? Does he get bathroom breaks? What? There's so much we don't know about the GIMP in Pulp Fiction.
What's he doing the whole time in there? Right? He got a sandwich in there.
Yeah.
So I thought of something when Carlos, when you were describing how you guys do these very detailed trauma classes. Now you're putting people in kind of real life situations, right?
Yeah.
So we have some friends at VAMP. Have you heard of VAMP? The Vocational Academy of Makeup and Prosthetics.
Yeah, I was going to mention this.
And what they do this with the airlines, is they go do the makeup with like real,
gory shit.
Real gory, like bleeding out the neck, like the real blood coming out. Yeah. And then the doctors, whoever is training,
the paramedics in training
have to go and stop the bleeding.
Yeah. And they do it true to the injury. And so they also will put a little piece of paper in their pocket if you can't figure it out to tell you what their injury is, so you can mimic what it is you're supposed to do.
We should get you guys in contact with them because they're student, they're using their students to
that's
to
awesome.
Practice this kind of stuff. So
that's a great point, Angie. One of the things they said is that they don't tell the students that you're going to do that. So but when it's not their students, it's like the paramedic students. So in the same way that you want to. You said, you fuck with them all day.
Yeah.
They put them under stressful situations. They're all jacked up. They don't tell them where they're going. Then they bring them there and just start screaming that everybody. So that's
there's fire. It's very reenacted.
It adds to the. They know it's not real, but it adds to it.
It adds to it, man.
We've taken classes to the Petrified Forest.
During
around Halloween.
Cool.
Yeah, and it is phenomenal. Like
this is a perfect match then.
Oh yeah.
This is a perfect match.
It's you just don't ever know what you're gonna go to. It's that's true. It's like the people go, you gotta need stories. I'm like, man, I got tons of stories. Like you can sit there and like talk about just different shit you went to in a day.
Yeah.
But your ability to not. That to me is always so impressive because so many people would get there and see some horrific thing and then disconnect and be incapable of helping them.
Yeah.
We were just the last podcast we were going about this. Listen, I'm not a cool, calm, and collected human being. I freak the fuck out myself.
Yeah. He's full of shit.
I'm
his freak out is different than other freaks.
I am going in my mind. I'm going. That is some fucked up shit.
In your mind,
it's just like
but it's in your mind. Nobody sees it on you.
And like
it's like this guy when he's had too many drinks, but nobody can tell that he has. You know what I mean?
We all have certain skills, right?
Me, nah,
you can tell from me.
And it's like
same.
But to me, it's like it's not my emergency right now. And it's like titties and pizza get me going.
You got to process though. You have a process that's
wow.
You have whatever your process is. You developed it yourself, and it gets you through it.
Oh man, but you know, my son's getting ready to get sent to Afghanistan. And like last night I was talking to him about, you know, I said, you know, sometimes your mind sees so much.
Yeah.
Your eyes are going to see so much and your mind's not going to be able to like process things you do. And I said, it's a true story, man. I said, I can't even imagine to have to be in your shoes to make the decisions you're going to have to make.
Yeah.
And like, I've spent a lifetime trying to like fix the things that you're about to do.
Yeah.
And like, but you're doing it because you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's a thing. But you know, man, like I said, at the end of the day, you talk to me. I may not understand what you're telling me, but we'll figure it out together because the mind can only hold so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Your mind can only hold so much. But if you have the good of like, if you're thinking about somebody else when you're doing that, then when you got to do whatever you have to do, it was to help that other person.
Yeah.
And I
that's
think
what
that
I
helps
think.
somewhat. Yeah.
That's what I think about all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm here.
You're helping.
And it has to be me because, thank God it's me because of this person needed it today.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about all the time.
It's such a great mentality to have,
You know.
though. You know, it really is. So, I mean, keep up what you're doing.
Yeah. I think always say, you never fuck for thinking for the next person. If you're always thinking about them, that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was going to ask before we kind of wrap up, because I think we're like an hour.
Sure.
People only listen for an hour. We know y'all
great.
do.
Yeah. It's a great conversation.
Usually like 45 minutes, and we start losing them. But I don't think so tonight. But I wanted to ask, do you have anything in place for like therapy or therapists, things like that? If you do run across somebody that's, you know, kind of going through PTSD or, you know, some other trauma, do you have partners that you work with in this area?
Yeah, actually we do. We work with a group called ECHO, which is Every Coast Helicopter Operation. They have a number that's staffed 24 hours a day that you can actually call, which is they're called the FAST team. Which I always forget. Trisha's always got. She's already looking.
Yeah, we'll
it
make
up.
sure they're in all the links
Yeah.
so that if somebody's interested,
And
this
this is free. You know, like they provide this like service. So if a helicopter crash, like one of the things people don't understand about air medical helicopters is that is more dangerous to being a firefighter. When you crash, you have a crash. You know, usually people die in it.
Yeah.
And these guys go on their own dime to go to provide the therapy for the crews and everything.
Wow.
Because you got to remember, this helicopter crash, but in a couple of days they're going to bring a brand new one in, and people have to get back into
back to it. Yeah.
and go fly. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that inspired the Rescue Company 1 and me trying to do all the safety training is like the 12 people that I went to my flight class with, my air medical class, which is you have to take that in the state of Florida to fly. Out of the 12 people, there are only 2 of us still alive.
Wow.
And I've been in 3 crashes, and I've been in 3 helicopter accidents where I should be dead, and I'm not.
You do have stories, don't
Yeah.
you?
Oh man.
Wow.
And,
I see a book in the making, Carlos.
Yeah. And you
nice
know,
table read, nice coffee book.
yeah, probably not.
But that speaks to the intensity of your job for how long? I mean, how long have you been doing this?
So I'm over 22 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, man, it's a dream.
Yeah.
It is a
that
dream.
you've been able to do it for this long.
It is a dream, and it's something that just, nobody was ever going to tell me. And I'm a bigger guy for doing the job that I do.
Yeah.
Like, they call me a fat ass. I get weighed every day I go to work because weight is something that we have to figure out when you're going to take off, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's so stupid, too,
Yeah.
because it's like they do that in the military, and it's like, you're measuring their waist size. I don't understand that. People are built differently. You can't have a 28-inch waist on a guy who's like this wide, what in the fuck?
Nobody was ever going to tell me I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And
you made it happen.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, did I? I was like,
did you starve yourself?
No,
you didn't.
No, I've always been the same size. One job, I went to 190 pounds one time for one job, and it was a dream job. And then now I'm divorced from the person that kept me from doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's nobody. It's one of those things. Like since I was knew I wanted to do it. I was like, man, I want to do it.
Yeah.
So
it reminds me of my son when he was doing boxing, and he got so thin.
Yeah.
Like, eat something. He's like, I can't, Mom. God, I gotta be able to. And he's wide. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, no, you look like you're starving. No, I can't handle this. Don't do it anymore.
He's on a vision
quest. That guy's gonna kill you. But he was on a mission, and he did it.
Yeah, he did that for a while. Yeah. Before we wrap up, though, I'm just curious, how is it going with the training? Like, are you seeing good responses from people? Do you have a lot of students?
Man, I tell you what, it has been going awesome. Like, we're not making, like, it pays for itself now, right? Yeah. So, like, we went from being broke.
Of course.
Yeah.
To, like, it pays.
That's like the first 5 years, right? Yeah.
Man, everybody says that. And I'm like, I can't wait for this 5 years to be over.
Yeah. What is it?
So listen, sometimes we struggle to pay the bills and stuff that we got to do, and you take out of your own money to put back into it. But one of the things that I got, like, we're putting people on jobs.
I love that.
People call us when we have a class, and they go, "Hey, how many nurses, how many medics you got?" Because they're trying to fill these positions all over the world, and like, and I get goosebumps telling you this. Like, our people are getting hired, and they make it through these hard orientations and these hard classes
because they're already ready from your
we kicked their ass already. There's nothing they're going to do to them that's going to make them flinch.
Been done. Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys are still, like, it's so funny because you're still helping. You know what I mean? Like,
and
you have that personality,
and we get these text messages and emails from them. And he's like, "Hey man, I just got this. I put this airway into this person, and nobody else could do it, and I did it." And they like, because
that's amazing.
Because we can buy human bodies. Like, that's one of the things as a company, we buy cadavers.
And
we do cadaver training and shit. Like, and like, we make people do it. Like, the first time they do it on a real person at their job, this is not the first time because they've done it on a
their
real
brains
person.
already.
That's so we try to do it as high as we can. So like, that's awesome. Biggest gift for me is when I walk into like back of an ambulance or in a room, and like you could see that this person's put this certain thing a certain way, and you go, I don't know who that person is, but whoever taught them how to do that went through a class and they passed that shit on.
They did it right.
Because it's knowledge, whether you paid for it or not, I don't care. It's not mine to keep. It's for everybody else. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, and that's the greatest part of this. I learn shit from students all the time.
I love that you say that, because that's kind of how we say there's enough success for everybody. You're not keep hoarding that knowledge for yourself. I'm the smartest and nobody else can know how to do this but me. No, you want like a good like even like a good boss or a good manager of a store. They want their whole staff to know how to do their job.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you
be
want.
Replaceable.
That's right. Like,
I don't care if you ever know my name. I don't care if you
but this is going to sound weird, but I like to say the most intelligent person in the room usually isn't the smartest person in the room by design, because there's an intelligence of being there to collect data from, I say data from my job, but you're teaching, but you're collecting data at the same time. So you're smarter after every class that you teach, probably.
And I know you're trying to rap. I will tell you this was one thing about me and Josh went to we used to do these medical simulation competitions. We won a bunch of them. We went to the World Championships.
I didn't even know they had these.
Yeah, critical world
now
critical
I'm
care.
going to be YouTubing.
The World Critical Care Championships. And we won it twice. Twice we beat doctors and stuff like that. Josh has never been in a helicopter his whole life.
Oh my gosh.
But twice in his life, he's the best flight paramedic in the world. And it's because, the reason is like he only knew the stuff that he sat in the class and he watched me teach, and we would teach it together. And that guy can, literally, there's this doctor, and I'll say his fucking name because I love saying this shit. His name's Dr. Hinckley, and he's like the biggest dude in our industry. Like, he's an awesome human being.
Yeah.
But we kicked his ass twice in a competition.
Nice.
And
he's probably okay to say that, they did it.
And it's, I went with a dude that never did, but like he just knew how to do this stuff. I taught him how to do it, and that's the one thing I will pride myself is if you put me in a room with 5 people who don't know shit, we're going to leave knowing everything we need to do. And that's
with each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, cause I'm dyslexic, I'm learning disabled. And if I can explain it to you, you're going to get it, and I'm going to figure out a way for you to understand it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That is awesome. So before we do wrap, I know this is a big request, but can you give sort of a run through of what type positions people would be looking for when they came to you for training? Because a lot of it's over my head looking at your website under services. Yeah. Angie jokes about the acronyms, but I would imagine like a paramedic or a nurse but there's more to it than that, right? There's a lot more to it.
So like most people are coming to us because they want to fly on a helicopter or an airplane,
right?
As a medical provider. Mm-hmm. So our most common customer is a nurse or a paramedic that's looking for all the different credentials that they need to fly.
Right.
Gotcha.
So when you fly on one of these planes, you're very autonomous. So you're a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you have to do your own airway as good as an anesthesiologist does it. So we train you up to that level.
Wow.
If you need to know surgical procedures that like putting chest tubes in, cutting through the skin if it's too tight for them to expand. Find ultrasound assessments and putting lines in. So all those skills we have to teach you, and as well as cardiology. One of the things as a paramedic that people may or may not know is that as a paramedic or a trauma nurse, cardiology, the heart as good as a cardiologist does.
Yeah, I saw that all over your website too. So you know the ins and outs of how a heart works, so that you know how to treat it.
Yep,
someone who's having a heart attack. Okay.
And then trauma, you do it as good as anybody. Those are your two tricks. But we're stroke, obstetrics. We got to know how to read. Just like an OB nurse knows how to read, deliver babies.
Because you got to figure you're up in the air.
The spectrum.
You're on your way to the doctor, to the hospital, and this stuff could happen there.
So you're basically the whole team.
Yeah. So like if you wanted to put it down in like just like one sentence, is good medicine in the worst possible place.
Yeah.
That's what we teach.
Yeah.
But you're also teaching people how to rescue from helicopters.
Oh yeah. So that's the other part of it.
That's what we just started.
Sometimes.
So you just started that. Yeah.
So what we do.
That's when you said first started. I thought the whole thing. But
So that's the other thing is that once we felt that we were pretty good at the medicine and passing on that information. Mm-hmm. Now we're no matter what situation your patient's in, we're going to teach you how to get to them. So we could scuba dive to them, we could jump out of a helicopter to them, we could swim to them, we can parachute to them. So we do all that training.
It makes our jobs feel stupid and insignificant, doesn't it? Really?
Oh no!
I bet you guys have an amazing team though that you've put together to be able to offer all these different avenues of getting people to where they want to be.
Yeah,
we do have an amazing team.
Yeah, we do have a good group. Like I said, it's 60
They're
people.
All previous students.
Yeah, have tried.
But just don't leave.
Yeah.
You try to get rid of them, huh?
Yeah.
It just
you
ain't
pick
happening.
the best ones. Pick the best ones.
They're usually
they
not
just
the
keep
best
coming
ones.
back.
Yeah, the ones that stay.
Oh, nice.
But listen, I will tell you this: you're an IT dude.
Yeah.
Today in my office, like our world was paralyzed over an IT issue, and we were on the phone for like 2 hours with this IT lady trying to figure this whole thing out. And it's like she goes, "What do you guys do?" And I'm telling her, and she goes, "She gonna figure out what the hell." But we figured the problem out.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, everybody is just as everybody plays a role in it.
Sure,
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
But you know what I meant. Now, I'm proud of my career, sure. But let's be honest. Life is not going to end if you can't run your company anymore because your network is down.
That's right.
You guys are literally.
we'll figure it out.
You're literally keeping people alive.
We'll figure it out from there. If I'm sitting in a bar and people ask what I do, I'm a Chilean miner. That's what I tell people.
So you don't have to get into it.
Because that's a lot that you have to go into to be able to explain what you do.
Everybody, it's something great when you're sitting at a bar and people go, I'm a jockey. That's what I tell people. I've been all kinds of shit other than what we do. I mean, it is at the end of the day. I can tell you, my pops, that dude was a great fireman.
Yeah,
but my dad was a dude in Vietnam that rescued people. I didn't know my dad went to Vietnam until I was cleaning some shit out a few years ago. And it's like, it just never came up. My dad had medals from pulling people out of planes that went into the Hudson River and shit, like just different shit.
He didn't care about the medals either?
No. It's just because, you know what?
I think a lot, that's probably where you got a lot of your mentality from.
Yeah,
but a lot of them that went to Vietnam are like that. They kind of...
The old
keep
man,
it to themselves,
The old man just didn't like that type of stuff. Wasn't things that came up like things that came up in my house is like, why do you have the big piece of chicken and I don't?
Yeah,
other things like that's it. Like that's the stuff that came up, and
day-to-day life.
Yeah, for us, and I tell the kids all the time, my stepkids and my son, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a job. That's not who you are. Who you are is like the good that people pass on. You pass on that stuff to people. Like if I'm dead and you're sitting on a bus and somebody sees, hey, where'd you get that T-shirt from? Well, my dad worked there. That the things that they will tell that kid about me. Yeah. That's the stuff that I live for.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great attitude to have. Well,
real quick, the number for Echo is 1-833-AIR-FAST.
Okay, we'll put a link in the show notes for that too.
Yeah. Or if they're not necessarily flight crews, they can always call us, and that number is 321-341-TRC1, which is 8721.
You got it memorized. You put some acronyms in there.
Yeah. I did.
Well, this has been really cool, guys. And we'll definitely keep an eye out on the website, too, for when you start doing, like, the civilian stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really, something you never see. So, and I think a lot of people would be interested in that. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, we kind of, we have to be prepared like that. Or we want to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for you guys to be offering that, I think that's going to be awesome. Really successful, definitely.
I do too. And thanks again for coming and joining us.
Oh, no, man.
Thanks for having us.
Really, really
Another
cool.
drink?
Yeah.
So everybody gets to enjoy the Bartesian now.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome.
That thing was fantastic.
I know.
Cool?
I love
I'm going to
that
have to
thing.
get one.
I know. We should get sponsored from Bartesian.
Yeah, we have to work on that.
Just saying.
Like Billy Floyd said, he had the perfect catchphrase because he was like, the Bartesian is the tool to help you moderate your drinking so you don't become an alcoholic or something.
I'll go. If I got to go to a meeting, I'll go.
There's a right down the road. I already have it scoped out. I'm ready.
Man.
I'm
when
fantastic.
she said we're getting this thing, I go, you think this is a good idea for me to have one of those things?
We're getting nothing done.
All right, guys.
Fun.
Thank you all for tuning in and listening to this. And we're going to wrap, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
And one more thing. Oh, you almost forgot.
I didn't forget. I'd let you lead us in.
At the end of the day,
It's all fine and dandy.
Don't forget to take a picture.